Okay, does this work? Yes, it does. Wow. Okay. So, okay, that was a big mess. All right. So, for anyone who can pay attention, let me see here. What's this? Edit. Cotton candy. You want to go live? Thumbnail. Upload a thumbnail. Okay, hold on. I've got an idea. Let's go here. Let's go here. And up into Canva. Let's take a look here. Cancel. All right. So, all right. So we've got one person on here, and that's because I made a big mistake. And hold on, I'm gonna try and entice people here with here we go. Let's go ahead and download this. And we're going to share this. And we're going to download it. 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 Great. Bunny Therapy Live PNG. Okay, great. Now, because I'm trying to learn how to do things, I am going to, for my next trick, I'm going to edit and I'm going to put that thumbnail back up there. And because this is all about motivation. And there we go. Open. And we're going to upload that. There we go. Now we're going to save it. All right. And now we've got a thumbnail. Okay. And the thumbnail is quite cute. And so, in case you didn't know, this video is about motivation and trying to get things done. Now, earlier I made a mistake and recorded earlier in the day. And so then I didn't want to do it because I was not motivated. I was not motivated in the slightest. And I didn't want to do this at all. But I thought it would be a good idea to revisit the situation and come back and do it again when it was supposed to be uploaded. Now, here's the interesting part. I decided to get this fancy Shure microphone so that I could improve my audio like I said I would. Now, keep in mind, I don't know anything about editing. I don't know anything about going live or anything like that. And I certainly don't know about the blogging and creating these videos and this microphone. And so I was really proud of myself. I got this microphone going on. You can't see it here, but I got this Yamaha mixer here. I figured that out. I figured out Canva. I figured out how to make a thumbnail. I did all of that. And then I tested this microphone, this new microphone, and it was amazing. Like I can turn on a reverb and everything like that. And it was like doing really good. And I was so proud of myself because there was a mental mountain in my head about trying to try something new. And I got this new fancy microphone and I got it all working. And then I went live. And because I tested the microphone, everything went dead. And then I was unable to connect any microphone to my computer, but I got back up on that horse and I got back into my YouTube, my Google channel, which allowed me to to reconnect the original microphone. Now, keep in mind, to complicate things even more, I didn't know my password, and I had to reset my password, and I had to go to my phone and everything like that. But I managed to do all this, and I did it all as to set an example, to model these things, because the cotton candy mountain. The cotton candy mountain comes from an inspiration when I was doing a therapy session with a client. I'm a PhD psychologist, and this person was really lamenting the fact that they that they wanted a new job, but they couldn't get the new job, at least not the one they wanted. In their minds, they built this up to be something bigger than it is. They built it up to be this thing like, well, everybody else gets interviews, and this person has a really high degree. And I said, well, I mean, if you want to, you could just have tons and tons of interviews too, but it wasn't good enough for her. And that goes back to one of the problems with motivation is perfectionism, that everything has to be done right. So I was speaking to her, and she said it had been 2 years since she had updated her LinkedIn, and she wanted a new job. And I asked her, well, how's that going waiting 2 years? And she said, well, it didn't really help at all, because I didn't update my LinkedIn. And I said, well, why not do it now? And she went, she got shocked. She was like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? Update my LinkedIn profile? And I said, well, it's been 2 years. And so I dared her. And then she picked up her computer and she updated her LinkedIn within 60 seconds after 2 years. And that's the thing, is that a lot of us create these mental mountains in our head that there's this barrier that's going to keep us from getting what we want. And when in fact, this mental mountain that we create, it doesn't exist. It's not even, that's just a metaphor, a mental mountain, but people act like it's a real mountain. They act like there's this barrier that they're going to have to walk around or climb over or tunnel through. Like there's something that gets in the way of them accomplishing it, when in fact she could just pull out her computer and do it. Now look, I didn't want to do this live broadcast. I certainly wanted to use my new fancy microphone that was very expensive and very cool, and all of my heroes online are using it, and I wanted to be just like them. And then when the live broadcast didn't go right, and then the test disabled my computer, it was really embarrassing, humiliating, daunting. And I had the urge to walk away and say, screw it, I'm not going to do a live broadcast, even though I don't really want to. But I wanted to model the fact that I don't have a mental mountain here. All I have to do is figure out why this test of this microphone with this thing interfered with my ability to create sound on the live broadcast. So I reset my computer, and then when I went back in, I couldn't get into my Google account. I couldn't get into my live stream, but I did it. I figured it out. Now, the reason why it's called the Cotton Candy Mountain is because, imagine a mountain made out of cotton candy. Now, I don't know where you guys all are, who've been watching this, but cotton candy is basically this big fluffy pink cloud. Sometimes it's blue, and basically it's just colored sugar, and you put it on a little stick. And when I was a little kid, I really wanted cotton candy. And I had to choose between, I was 7 years old. I had to choose between riding an elephant. I lived in the middle of nowhere in America, or get some cotton candy. But I chose the elephant because I didn't think, I thought it was pretty cool to ride the elephant, but I really wanted that cotton candy. Anyway, when you touch the cotton candy, it's really soft. And so, like, if you approach it, like, imagine like a mountain of cotton candy the size of your desk, or like the size of your house or your apartment building, or an actual sized, a mountain made out of cotton candy. It looks like something that's like a big barrier that you got to go around or climb over. But if you touch it, it's soft. It's nothing. It's nothing. And if you put your tongue on it, it's delicious. And that's a metaphor too, because overcoming these mental mountains are it's a delicious exercise. Now, one other thing that I did is, since I screwed up the timing earlier today, I decided to go ahead and do a a broadcast earlier today because I wanted to overcome my difficulty with motivation. And just as a quick shameless plug, I've got my Bunny Therapy T-shirt on there, right? And you can get that too if you go onto Patreon, where you can ask me direct questions for the $50 level, the $20 level. You can get a T-shirt, the stickers, and stuff like that, and you can get access to premium content. But I tell you what, for the first 10 people, if you go on that Patreon for $5 American and you sign up, I will get you your own Bunny Therapy T-shirt, even though you didn't give me the $20, which I'm going to use to try and spread psychology across the planet. But the bunny, there's a video on this on the channel. This is Rodin's Thinker, and the thinker is thinking and contemplating, and it's in this Zen garden. And I have something to show you. Well, I'll wait till I have a wider audience. Actually, I'll prepare for it now. But anyway, so I started out earlier, doing this broadcast, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it. And I only had one image, because what I want to do is I have a message for you. I have a message for you and you and you, and for everybody else who can go on and see this, even if I don't have a large audience now. You can access this here on the Therapy Bunny channel, and you can get the link to the other videos. You can get a link to the Patreon and get this. And so, like, what I wanted to do, my idea was, well, what if there was a visual for a cotton candy mountain? What if there was a visual? How do I do that? Now, keep in mind, today is the 25th of January. So 1 month ago was Christmas, right? Or December 25th, around the solstice. And then 1 month before that was November 25th. And a couple weeks before that, I had an idea. And my idea was, I want to make a YouTube channel. Cut to November 17th, I had figured out how to download Canva, how to download WeVideo, which edits video. And apparently today I learned how to interface this microphone with that WeVideo, which disabled all the microphones in my computer, which prevented me from going live. And I thought about it. I thought about saying, screw it. You know what? I don't have to do this. I already did it today. I don't want to do it. This is really embarrassing. I had a wide audience, and then all of a sudden my freaking microphone's not working. So, but I still have that message for you. And I said, okay, now I'm going to try and create a video, a movie about the Cotton Candy Mountain, the motivation. And so I downloaded this thing called Video Express. Now, if you go to Video Express right now, I'm not being paid for this, but if you go to Video Express, you can get a lifetime membership for about $130, and you keep it forever, and you don't have to get extra credits or anything like that. And you get all the upgrades for a lifetime. You too can create AI movies. And so this morning I thought, I don't want to do this. I don't want to figure out how to make a movie. And then I said, okay, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to do it, because a body in motion stays in motion. And to get in motion, you have to accelerate. You have to get going. And so this morning I had a crude image of a bunny. And I decided the motivation this time, because we put things off, we procrastinate. I decided I wanted my bunny to be procrastinating about going to the doctor. And the idea was that the bunny would be like in a cottage, and then there would be this fairy that came out of a box, and then the bunny would decide to go to the doctor, because you too have things that you're putting off, and going to the doctor is one of them, right? So I thought it was a great example. But then I couldn't figure out how to make it work. So I had one picture that I shared earlier, and then I decided I'm going to go ahead and try and make a video. And so I created this video. That's the cotton candy mountain, and that's the doctor's office, and that's the panda going to the doctor and going into the doctor's office and seeing the doctor, and then going back home and finding a magic box. And there's a genie, and it says, you know what? This is all in your brain, right? And at the end, the panda decides it's going to go to bed, and the end. And I've got to figure out how to edit that again. But I think it's pretty cool, because I actually created a cotton candy mountain, and I did it because I want to show you all that these barriers don't exist. I had a cotton candy mountain of creating an AI video, and I did it, and I did it today. And that was my first attempt at an AI video. And so, like, I went from like saying, I don't want to do this, to saying, okay, I'm going to be uncomfortable, because my goal is to spread information to people. And I'm going to create a cotton candy mountain universe with a panda going to the doctor and going into the office and seeing the doctor, and then going home and finding the box. And the box turns out to have a genie that tells you it's all in your head. And then the video is not done, because the panda lives at home. I created all of this just this afternoon. That's the panda in bed. And there's the happy ending, because it's all in your head. You have problems. I am a clinical psychologist. I have spent 6.5 years in school, in dozens of hospitals with hundreds of people. I've housed hundreds of veterans. I'm the CEO of 2 private practices, one in New York and one in Tokyo. And I train people, help get them licenses. I sponsor their visas. And I didn't do it because it was easy. It's because I want to make people's lives better. So I'm going to type something here, and I'm going to bet, you know what? I'm going to dare you. If you respond, I will send you a Bunny Therapy t-shirt. And here it comes. What are you avoiding? Now, if you respond to me, except for, I spelled that right. If you respond to me and tell me what you're avoiding, I would be happy to discuss that now. And if you respond, and if you send me, I think you can send me a message on YouTube, on Patreon, or at HSP, Herald Square Psychology -NYC, or therapist, the number 4 me.jp, or heraldsquarepsychology.com. Or if you respond in the thing here, I mean, you probably don't want to give away your identity online, on a live broadcast. But if you contact me, if you go on there, you can actually, if you go to the Bunny Therapy, you can see my phone number. You can text me. and I will send you that t-shirt, but you got to tell me what you're avoiding. And right now you're avoiding telling me what you're avoiding. And it's driving me crazy. Nobody, I see all these other YouTube videos or where people say, "Oh, tell me what you think and put it in the chats." They do that because then it helps the algorithm, and then they get money and stuff like that. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this to help you. All right. So let's get down to brass tacks. What are you avoiding? Well, what do people tend to avoid? If they're students, see, one of the things about this is that, like, a lot of psychology research comes down to um, basically studying students, right? And by the way, speaking of motivation, I they have this thing here called a Japanese souffle cheesecake, and I wanted to make it, and I created this, and it's delicious, but this doesn't look that appetizing, does it? But I did it, and I can do better. And that's one of my bits of advice is rather than avoid, because you have different things that you want to do in life. I wanted a souffle cheesecake. So I tried. Now the first one was terrible. And then also, check this out. I created I created I created I created my own bread. I wanted bread. I wanted sourdough. I failed at it. And you know what? Failure is an option. But take a look at this. See this bread here? See this bread? I made that bread. I created that last night. And it's delicious. I made it into a sandwich. And and apparently that went over really well because everybody just sort of left. I guess they don't want to see bread. But you're missing the point. The point is that there's things you value. I value cheesecakes. I value the souffle. I value helping people. I value overcoming problems. I value trying to spread psychology to people across the world. And we're up to 60,000 subscribers. That's hundreds of thousands of times that my message got through to you. Hundreds of thousands of times my message got through to all of you. And today I tried to do it by creating an AI movie, which I will improve upon and I will put up there. And I hope you come and visit it. So if you can see in the chat there, which nobody took me up on that offer, because I'm willing to give you one of these really great Bunny Therapy T-shirts for free if you contact me, or if you put in the comment here what it is that you're avoiding. Okay, so let's go to what people avoid. They avoid studying for exams. They avoid preparing things for work. They avoid cleaning their house. They avoid doing the dishes. They avoid paying their bills. They avoid starting new projects. They avoid making important decisions. They avoid exercising regularly. They this is funny. They put off updating their resume, like the woman I was speaking about that avoided it for 2 years and then did it within 30 seconds. It's more like 60 seconds of talking to me. And they avoid tackling difficult conversations, whether it's like maybe it's a breakup, or maybe it's asking for a raise, or maybe it's asking for like them to pay attention better in bed or something like that. How about they avoid going to the doctor, like my video there, right? They avoid the checkups. You could avoid a whole lot more medical problems by going to the doctor and getting preemptive care, like proactive health care. And that will avoid tons of things that you don't even think of right now. What else did they avoid? They avoid things that look like it's really difficult, like administrative tasks. Like when my live stream didn't go well earlier today and this evening, and testing this microphone disabled my my live stream. I wasn't able to do my live stream, but I was able to tackle that tedious administrative task of trying to figure out what happened to my microphone. There were people waiting for me to come on live and start talking about this subject. And then I got locked out of my Google account. And you know what? I wanted to avoid it, but I didn't. And here I am. What else? They avoid everything, essentially anything that feels like overwhelming, boring, or requires sustained effort. Do you know how many minutes it took me? It took me like about 20 minutes to figure out how to get the microphone back on, to figure out my password, and to get on here and meet with you and have you avoid the question of what are you avoiding in your life? What are you avoiding? You know what? You don't even have to put it, maybe you don't even want a t-shirt, right? But what is it that you're avoiding? Is it something like going to the doctor? Maybe you have something on there. I'll tell you this, like when I was a waiter in New York, when I was in graduate school, I had this friend. He was this gorgeous guy. He was an actor. He wound up dating like a really famous rock star. I'm not going to tell you who. But he started walking around with like a little like a piece of gauze bandage on his hand. And then a week later, he's walking around like this. And we're like, what are you doing? Why do you walk around like this? And he's like, if I do this, it doesn't hurt. I'm like, why don't you go to the doctor? Because at the time there was no health care. And for a $10 prescription for an antibiotic, he wound up going to a hospital for 3 weeks. If he had waited longer, they had to cut his hand open. But if he waited longer, they would have cut off his hand. It cost $65,000 to the taxpayers of the United States or New York. And it was because he avoided the very idea that going to the doctor might cost him something or might get a bill. But you only get like 2 hands, right? And you're lucky to get 2 hands and to keep them, right? So let's go over that list one more time. What do people procrastinate on? They procrastinate studying for exams, cleaning the house, paying the bills, starting a new project, making important decisions, exercising regularly, updating their resumes and reports, tackling difficult conversations. And you know what conversation you need to have. You know that when it's time to go to the doctor, you know it's time to pay that bill. I paid a bill today. I did not want to pay it, but I did it. Why? Because you know what? If I apply myself, I will find the money and replace that because I used a credit card. I thought I was making the points, but you know what? Sometimes the points aren't as important as just keep making sure you stay like according to the plan, right? Um, completing tedious administrative tasks. Anything that feels overwhelming, boring, or requires sustained effort. And I'm telling you, nobody says, I went on Instagram or TikTok and boy, am I glad I did. Now, I'm sure, like I played with TikTok before and it was a lot of fun. But I avoid social media like Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff because generally I feel like my life is less enjoyable when I do that. But people report going down these like long times, like just scrolling on their phones. And I'm going to put my money on avoidance that they're doing it to avoid something that they should be doing. And here's the dirty little secret that if you go to that cotton candy mountain, that mental mountain that you make, like updating the resume, like my client who had put it off for 2 years because she created this fictitious future in her head. Talk about a mental mountain, like a metaphor. She created this world where people would belittle her and question her, and her reputation would be tarnished. And that's the way anxiety works. I'm going to say this again. Anxiety is about some sort of threat that hasn't happened yet, and we're vulnerable to it. And almost always we make it up. And one of the nature, one of the typical characteristics of anxiety is we think that everything is about us, that people spend their nights thinking about us, or if we make a mistake, that people sit there and think about it. And maybe people do, but like after a little while people stop thinking about you. They're not cared, they don't care about you, so you don't need to get wrapped up in these fictitious futures where something bad could happen, when you could just go ahead and update that resume. Cleaning the dishes, like I'm sure you fancy people out there in YouTube land have a dishwasher. I don't have a dishwasher. I have these. These are my dishwashers right here. Boom. And you know what? At the end of the day, when I'm tired, I don't want to wash the dishes. I want to go to bed, and I don't want to brush, and I don't want to floss, because in my head, I've created this mental mountain that it's going to be difficult. But you know what? Like, I'm here in Tokyo, so if I pick up one chopstick and I suds up the sponge, and I start cleaning that chopstick, pretty soon I'm going to clean the other chopstick, and pretty soon after that I'm going to clean the bowl. And what looked like a whole lot of effort was actually nothing whatsoever. So that's why I call it a cotton candy mountain, right? And that's why I took the time to create this cotton candy mountain, right? And this like panda bear that needs to go to the doctor, right? And he goes to the doctor and he sees the doctor, and then he goes home and finds the magic box, and then the genie appears and tells him the mental mountain was all in his head, because you are the genie. You can pull the rabbit out of a hat. You can stop avoiding the things that you need to get done. Think about it. Like, what time is it in New York right now? I think it's the opposite, right? So it would be like 9:30 in the morning in New York right now. You've got things to do. You've got, I think is it Saturday or Sunday there? I don't know. But like, chances are you have some time. That's another thing, is that people will start to make excuses and avoid, because they have goals, right? They have a goal, but if they really sat down and paid attention to it, some feeling comes up when you think about it, like when you think about flossing or doing the dishes or going to the doctor. If you really pay attention, and I challenge you to do this, I challenge you to do this. When you think about, like, okay, I've got to call my brother and wish him a happy birthday, or I've got to go to the post office and mail a gift. I was gonna see, like, so this is Japan. This is a Kit Kat, and this is the year of the snake, right? And it's a big deal here. And this is Japanese. This is Japanese, right? See, that says right here. It says, that's ki, and that's to, kito. Like, right? Yeah, Kito Kato, right? Kit Kat, right? And I tried to mail this to a little Japanese boy in America, but those jerks at Yamato wouldn't let me send it. But I sent them a card anyway. And at any rate, like, whatever it is that you're putting off, you have a chance to do it today. But you're going to create this mental mountain in your head, much like that panda, and you've got a little genie inside of you that can tell you what to do. So let's talk about why people procrastinate. And because there's this thing about motivation is a myth. There's, like, I guess you could come up with a definition for motivation, but what it really comes down to is avoidance of internal experiences which prevent you from taking action. Okay. So, like, an object in motion stays in motion. Like, I didn't want to do this broadcast, and when this microphone that I tested screwed up my computer, I wanted to stop, but I kept going and I kept going until I figured out how to restart this computer, how to find the password for my Google account and get back on here and show all you fine folks that panda video that I just created. And I'm not going to show it again for a few minutes. And I'm going to again ask you to like go to that chat box and tell me what it is you're avoiding. I double dog dare you. Tell me what it is that you're avoiding. And you know what? Every time I say that, people stop watching this broadcast because they don't want to think about the things they should be doing. Now, so lack of motivation, I think what that is that it's an avoidance of an internal experience, usually because they fear that something bad will happen and that they'll be rejected or they'll be belittled and that they will have an increase in discomfort inside of themselves, when in fact the opposite is true. If you actually embrace it, then you will feel a sense of competency, you will feel a sense of relief, and you will feel a sense of hope, and you will have this idea that you've learned next time you have a challenge. Hey, I had a challenge. I can do it. You know, I do executive coaching, and there are certain kinds of employees that just dare people to fire them. And they keep just like, and they have it like an excuse. Oh, like my dad died. I got to take my brother to school and stuff like that. And then it tugs on there. And then the people fall prey to it. And then they don't fire the employee, and the employee just keeps doubling down on it, and pretty soon the whole organization feels the tension. And I keep telling them, look, this is not my first rodeo. I've seen this phenomena before. This isn't like your person just down on their luck. This isn't somebody whose house burned down. You know, like Albert Ellis said, that life is one damn thing after another. The pumps don't work in California. You know, there's a fire, and there's like gridlock. But problems in life are the same damn thing over and over again. And these people are problems that drive everybody in the organization nuts. And it feels so uncomfortable to think I'm going to fire somebody, because that's not me. I'm not the type to fire somebody. I'm certainly not going to fire somebody who's like has a deceased father and the brother needs a ride to school. I wouldn't do that, but that's not the way it works. They're dealing with a certain kind of character that only a PhD like me can identify. And I'll tell the executive, you need to like, how many times have you given them a second chance, a third chance? And everybody's upset. And when they actually do it, they have this enormous relief, and the whole organization feels the relief too. So the opposite is true. So by avoiding something, it's not like you actually save yourself from discomfort. Imagine, for example, that after I tested this new fancy microphone and it disabled my computer, and then I got out of my Google account to try and figure everything out, and it took me 20 minutes and I felt humiliated. I could have given up and I could have said, hey, you know what? Screw this. I'm out of here, and gone to bed. You know what would have happened? I would have reflected on this moment differently than I am now, because I stuck with it and I applied myself. And rather than feeling a modicum of regret and shame and disappointment, I feel competent that I was able to do that, and now I feel regret and shame that I don't have a bigger audience, but I'm going to work on that too. So why do people they put things off? Because they feel overwhelmed, and they feel a lack of motivation, and they feel a perfectionism. And perfectionism is really a real obnoxious thing because people think that everything has to be arranged in a certain fashion or else they will not begin, that they have to have the right equipment, that the weather has to be a certain way, that people have to be around. And then people play little games with themselves. They'll say like, well, if the light changes and if I make this green light, then I'll go ahead and do this. And like what you need to do is to just do it. And like I said this morning, in my undergrad class, I was hanging out with this guy who was a writer. And of course, I never saw him write. I'm sure he was good, but I never saw him write. And he said, "You know what the hardest thing about writing is?" And I said, "What?" He said, "The hardest thing about writing is writing." And he was right, pun intended. So perfectionism can really get in the way where you have to be just right, or the audience has to be just right, or the things have to be arranged just a certain way, or everything has to be at the right time, and you never get anything done. Or poor time management. Okay, so that's another thing that I believe exists and at the same time does not exist, because time management is great on paper, but in reality, it just comes down to just doing things. Sir Isaac Newton came up with the three laws of motion, and the first one's the hard part, like getting going. Force equals mass times acceleration. Mass is just like the collection of molecules that make you. There's a mass. Now your weight changes. If you're on the moon, then the gravity's less, and so you weigh less, but your mass is always the same. And acceleration is distance over time. So if you can get yourself and get some sort of distance over time, then you're in motion, and an object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest tends to stay at rest. And then there's an equal and opposite reaction. So here's an example. The recycling in this particular part of Tokyo allows me to like take a paper bag. Like say I get a delivery. Sorry, it's like almost midnight here. Let's say I get a delivery and I get a paper bag. And then what I can do, rather than throw away other papers, I can take these papers and I can stick them in the bag, and then I can take them out to be recycled, and then they do something special with it. And I noticed that behind my shoe rack, one of the pieces of paper fell back there. And in my head, if I pay attention, and if you pay attention to what you're avoiding, you will notice that there's some sort of discomfort or some sort of lie or some sort of or perfectionism or some sort of distraction or something comes up, and I'm like, I'm going to get that piece of paper later. And then I thought, why am I doing that? I have the time. You know what it is? It's because it's uncomfortable. I'm going to have to bend down. I'm going to have to get behind the shoe rack, and I'm going to have to grab that paper, and I'm going to have to stick it in the bag. But in my mind, I played tricks on myself to put it off for the time, whenever the time is right, when I feel ready for it. And so that's why time management, I'm not sure if I really buy into that 100%, because if people just did what they're supposed to do, then things would get done. And like I put off doing this microphone thing, and yeah, it interfered with my live broadcast because it disabled my microphone, and then I got locked out of my Google account. But now I know that this thing works, and I learned how to reestablish that connection with my computer so I can talk to fine folks like you. Now, we all have goals, whether we pay attention to it or not. We have goals, and we like to think that the problem is out there, that the world has stuff out there that gets in the way of me. my barrier. That's why I call it the cotton candy mountain, because like we create these mountains in our head when in fact they are not mountains. They're just little fluffy things that are easily dealt with and discarded and reduced in size. And if you consume it, it's delicious, right? So, if we go ahead and do everything as we go, then things get done and an object in motion stays in motion. You know how many dishes are in my sink right now? None. And why? Well, because I could either avoid the dishes because I don't want to get my hands wet, or, it sounds like work, when in fact it's just applying dish soap to a sponge, turning on a thing, and swishing it around sufficiently. And the whole thing takes like a couple minutes. Or I could look over there and see a mountain of dirty dishes and a collection of food at the bottom, and I could wake up. But you know what's really great? Waking up in the morning and seeing those pristine dishes, because I do it as it occurs. Now, what are you avoiding? Are you avoiding a difficult conversation? Pay attention to that inner voice. Can you identify the feeling that comes up when you think about making that phone call, asking for that raise, for the breakup, or even scarier, asking to like connect with somebody? We're social creatures. We are designed to seek out other people and form relationships. I mean, that's how we're survived. Okay, we're made because somebody had a relationship, right? And then when we're born, you're blind and you don't know anything, and you instinctively attach to your mother, usually a giant woman, right? And there's a bonding that goes on there. And even if they're an abusive mother or a neglectful mother or an anxious mother or a happy mother or a controlling mother or a helicopter mother, your mission in life as a little child is to attach to that person and connect to them. Even if you get a slap on the face, you'll learn how to connect with them. And you learn how to attach to those caregivers, and that relationship, that fundamental part of us, will create a bond and a style of bonding that'll help us attach to new people in the future. Now, is that destiny? Some people will say it is, but it's not. Like, you can go up to other people and you can talk to them, and you can get rejected, and you can withstand it because it's part of being human. I am wearing these glasses here, even though I don't like it, because I got some sort of virus and it got in my eye, and like my eye was really painful and I couldn't wear contacts for a little while. But that's part of the deal of being human. If you're a human being, you have to get sick. You have to have bacteria to live. And eventually you will come in contact with a virus and you will get sick. And that's part of the deal. To enjoy all the wonderful things in life, to like go to Waikiki and dip your toes in the sand, and to smell the forest after the rain, you have to take the hard part too, which is getting sick. And here's the dirty little secret that's even truer, is that if you're human, you're going to feel things that you would not choose. Now, we are socialized to call them bad, or I prefer to describe them and say it's uncomfortable. And so like it's part of the deal. Rejection is part of the deal. Heartbreak is part of the deal. If you want to be in the game, you gotta have skin in the game. You've gotta be vulnerable to rejection. And the opposite, of course, which is being embraced and included and feeling together. And being separated from other people is one of the most painful things. And on one hand, I really enjoy this technology, but on the other hand, I am glad that I don't have this natural barrier of like the internet and the phone, to keep me from bonding with other people. I mean, I don't necessarily want to bond with a lot of people, but but even hermits have somebody that they regularly connect with, and I connect with the people that I feel like are consistent with my values. And I'm not your average guy. I create YouTube channels. I get degrees. I hire people. I've dealt with all sorts of psychopathology and criminals, and I've really enjoyed moving to another country and trying to learn another language and failing at the test to try and learn that language. And we're coming up on an hour, and I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop in a few minutes because I accomplished my mission, and I had to overcome many, many barriers. And in my mind, those barriers popped up like an imaginary cotton candy cloud, right? Like when the microphone didn't work. Well, it worked great on the app. I didn't know that it was going to disable my computer. And then when I couldn't find my password to get into this account, I really saw this as a difficult thing. I didn't know how to solve this. I didn't know what was on the other side. I didn't know how to get around it. I didn't know what to do. But much like procrastination, when it comes to being overwhelmed, I did one thing at a time. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, pick the smallest thing. Like to use another, well, it's not a metaphor. I did it today. You go over to the sink full of dishes and you pick up the smallest thing. A chopstick is probably the easiest thing to clean. And you clean that one thing, and then all of a sudden another thing is possible, and then another thing is possible. And, like I really didn't like it, but I went to the settings on my computer and I realized that I wasn't making any headway. And then I realized that the last thing that worked was this microphone on that other app. So I went back to that other app, and then I disabled this microphone from that app, and then this thing worked. Then I had to find the password. And then it was as simple as looking up the password. No. Did I have to like get two-step verification on my phone? Yeah. Was I 20 minutes late? Yeah. But did I overcome it? Yeah. Am I better off for it? I learned. And I learned that I can handle noxious events. I learned that I can handle the feelings of disappointment and looking silly in front of an audience, and that I have this imaginary group of people. There were like 5 people waiting for me to start, and they must be, I didn't know if they could see me and not hear me or what it was, but it sounds really silly, and it sounds it was really disappointing, but I overcame it. And I hope that if I model that for you and phrase it and try and use my experience as a model for achievement, that you will follow suit. And sometimes people criticize my approach to work with clients or or with patients and stuff like that is overly self-disclosing. I've got to be judicious about what I share. But I hopefully that experience that I have is relatable in some way, because you are avoiding something, and it's not the world, it's the internal world. It's the feelings that come up when you think about making a difficult conversation, or making a new connection, or asking for a raise, or going to the gym and sweating and getting an injection or a vaccination or whatever it is, or a phone call to your mother to say happy birthday, even if you're not like thrilled about it. Or maybe you feel guilty because you've been putting it off. So then you avoid, because if you pay attention, it's not this phone that's the problem. It's the feeling that comes up when you think about going to this phone and then calling up the person that you have been avoiding. And that's a painful thing. So let's go back to what I was avoiding and what I accomplished today. And does that mean that I everything is the way I want it to be? No, it's not. Actually, it's quite the opposite. But I created a cotton candy mountain, and I had to switch over. There's the mountains right there. And that's the doctor's office. And that's the panda going to the doctor's office and going into the office and seeing the doctor, and then going home and finding the magic box, which turns out to be a genie. And the genie says it's all in your head, because genies don't really exist. Now, that's a rudimentary video, but it existed. And this morning, I had no idea how to do it, but I leaned into the discomfort, and I'm going to make a better video, and then I'm going to share it with people so that people have a visual memory. And hopefully, I'm not too hopeful, but hopefully people will think about this video, and they'll think about that comment where everybody ignores it. Doesn't anybody want a t-shirt? I'm trying to give you something. I'm trying to give you something. Because like, if you wear the t-shirt, you'll start thinking about these things, and that you want to try and improve your life. My goal in life as a psychologist is to find out what you want from life. I don't care what it is. And see what gets in the way of it. And I guarantee you, unless it's something extreme, like your house burning down or something like that, it's just thoughts and feelings. And you have the ability, much like the panda in the video, to go to that cotton candy mountain and poof, it disappears and you get what you want. So, having said that, please check out the related videos. And I hate to say this, but if you could like and subscribe. I have no idea why people never comment. I've got to figure that out. That's a challenge for me. I wish somebody would comment and tell me why they don't comment, but of course they would have to comment to do that. So that puts me in a conundrum. But at any rate, I hope you enjoyed the panda. I hope you think about what you're avoiding. I hope that you detect the internal experience that is the barrier, the cotton candy mountain, and that you get what you want. Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention. And please keep hit that notification bell, because I think like what I should start doing is getting myself into a regular routine and learn how to use this computer. At any rate, I learned how to make videos and edit them and create thumbnails and work this thing up, and then how to hook this up and how to screw it up and how to fix it. And so I hope that you follow my example. Go back and watch this. Go back to look at all of the other channels. And I'll tell you what. I'll do this one last time. All right, I'm going to do it one last time. Get ready. Get ready for a cotton candy mountain, because I put it on there. Did you see that I put the bunny on there and I put the cotton candy mountain in glowing pink colors? Isn't that cool? Okay, so then here we go. One last time, and then we're done. There's the panda, overwhelmed by all the cotton candy mountains, and there's the mountain, and you got to get to the doctor. There's the doctor right there because the panda made it go away, and it's going up the stairs, and it goes in, and it's going to go see that doctor, just like you should see the doctor. And then you go home and you see the magic box, and it turns out to be a genie, and the genie says it's all in your head. And then the panda decides, hey, man, I did a lot today. I'm going to go to my really comfortable bed. See, look at that. I created a really cool bed. Now the panda's on the bed, and it lives happily ever after. Okay. Well done. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.